Good morning. I have some announcements for you this morning. Our guest pianist is Rich Richens, in case you don't know him. Give him a big round of applause. Rich told me he knows some of the music, so that's encouraging. It really is. We had a wonderful chat about this the other day. So, Reverend Rod sends you his love and greetings. He's recuperating from surgery and getting stronger every day, he says. And to aid in his healing and recuperation, he has requested no visitors, but he appreciates notes, cards, texts, and looks forward to being with us again soon. You can mail or drop off notes at the office, and we'll make sure that Reverend Rod receives them. I note that the Climate Action Group is doing a survey. Do they have someone in the foyer? Oh, thank you, Jane. Jane will have a clipboard there and will buttonhole you, as we used to say, and ask you for your advice. Is that what it is? Yes.
Fill out the survey.
Fill out a survey. Okay. I also want to mention that next Sunday, where is Kevin? Is Kevin here? I saw him out. There's Kevin. He's walking up right now. Kevin, why don't you wave your hand so everyone knows who you are? There you are. Okay. Kevin is leading the service next Sunday. It's on Samhain, and what he would like is pictures of ancestors, okay, because the service is about ancestors. It's that time of year. Also, I want to mention there's a memorial service on the 25th of November, 1:30 here in the sanctuary. It's to honor Daryl Decker, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. And finally, the Karen Casey concert is coming on November 3rd, right here in the sanctuary. And you can register in advance for that at Las Cruces Creatives, an event organization that is helping to sponsor this event. Okay? I would also ask you to please set your phones in worship mode. I just did that with mine, so it doesn't ring unnecessarily in the service. And then Dave Rice has a special note for us. David?
On behalf, I'm chair of the Social Justice Committee, and I'm here to announce the end of our Tents to Rents campaign of this year. I'm very pleased to say we achieved our goal, and we've got a certificate, and we even got a little ornament from the Tents to Rent Committee. And I'd have to say, when we set our goal of $3,000, I thought, well, we did it last year, hope we can do it again. Well, we blew it away. You guys came forward with $7,158. So thank you very much. And also, you wonder what happens with Change for Change. Well, this year, past quarter, you supported the Children's Reading Alliance with a grand total of about $1,302. So thank you.
Thank you very much, David. All right, Kathy, our opening song.
Buenos días, Iglesia. Morning so fair to see, night veiled in mystery, glorious the earth and resplendent skies. Pilgrims we march along, singing the precious song.
Good morning, church. And I'd like to officially welcome you to the home of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces, New Mexico. We welcome those of you who are in our sanctuary this morning, especially the children, and those who are joining us via streaming technology. As Charlie said earlier, our minister, Reverend Rod Thompson, is recuperating. And so Charlie Schulz and I, Haney Pearson, are your co-service leaders. Our director of music is Catherine Massey. She is currently up in their mountain cabin, totally incommunicado. And Kathy Cox, along with Rich Richards, will be leading our hymns. Our director of religious education is Kelly Ingram, and she is actually here. Assisting us are Elwin Nunn on camera, Claire Neal Wallace on audio, and Mike Yasko on YouTube. Our greeters are Jack Welsh, Ed Long, and Linda Rushala. Hospitality is offered today by the Richens Covenant Group. We are delighted that all of you are with us today. Unitarian Universalism has neither creed nor dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to live in relationship with each other according to the Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace diversity in all its forms, as everyone is welcome here. You can learn more about our church at our website, uuchurchlc.org. UUCLC is someplace in California. If you are visiting us today, we'd like to meet you. If you are in the sanctuary, please rise in body or spirit and introduce yourself by telling us your name and where you are from. But wait until we bring you the microphone. Do we have any visitors in the sanctuary this morning?
Back here. Okay.
Good morning, I'm Todd Sikonarak, Mark's brother.
I'm Sarah McNall, Mark's sister-in-law.
Welcome. Nice to see you. Anyone else? Yes?
I'm not the visitor, but my granddaughter is. So let me get her to stand up. She said, so now turn around and say hi. This is Raylan, and she's visiting us today.
Hi, Ray Lynn. Nice to see you. Anyone else? Okay.
Visitors joining us via YouTube cannot be recognized during the service, but please put your contact information in the comment section. Thank you. We are very pleased that you have joined us today for our service. Please fill out a visitor's card in the lobby or send us your email so we can invite you to other services and activities at the church. If you are a shy visitor but are curious about our church, pardon me, if you are a shy visitor but curious about our church, please feel free to fill out a visitor's card in the lobby and you'll receive the same invitations. And please join us after the service for coffee and conversation outside the religious education building just down the breezeway. These words are taken from Heretic's Faith by Frederick John Muir. Our minister, when we attended the Unitarian Universalist Church of Annapolis, it is not easy being a Unitarian Universalist. Just a cursory look at our history clearly shows that this isn't a recent development. Whether it's our history in North America or that of the free-thinking church reforms of the 3rd century of the Common Era. Perhaps the context has changed, the issues are different, the names of places vary, but since their beginnings, Unitarians and Universalists have been understood as out of the mainstream and on the fringe. We have always been thought of as a heretical faith. The word heresy comes from the Greek heresis and means choice. As a heretic, you choose. There are all kinds of heresies, but being a religious heretic has always meant not going along with official religious doctrines and creeds. Unitarian Universalists' particular heresy is that we are religious liberals. Being a liberal is currently not popular. The word alone strikes fear and animosity in the hearts of many. But like heretic, liberal has a special meaning for Unitarian Universalists. Its root means to be generous and open. As religious liberals, we seek deeper and wider understanding, greater tolerance, broader definition, more inclusive language. We want to stretch our minds and our souls, pushing the limits of thought and spirit, redefining the boundaries of tradition and orthodoxy. And so, as religious liberals, we have committed heresy and appear out of the mainstream, standing on the fringe.
Would you like the chalice? Yes. Our chalice lighting words this morning come from Marjorie Montgomery. We light our chalice this morning. Life is a gift for which we are grateful, and we gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this gift.
I'll be with you in a second.
And we also light the match to light the chalice. Would you please rise in body or spirit and join me in saying our church's affirmation of covenant? And the words are on the screen. And then join Kathy Cox as she leads us in singing the doxology in English and Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue. De todos bajo el gran sol surja esperanza, fe, amor, verdad, belleza en la canción de cada tierra, cada voz. And please remain standing for our opening hymn, which will be number 287, Faith of the Larger Liberty. Faith of the larger liberty, source of the light expanding, law of the church that is to be, old bondage notwithstanding, faith of the free, by thee we live, by all thou givest, and shalt give our loyalty commanding. Heroes of faith in every age, far-seeing, self-denying, wrought and increasing heritage, monarch and creed defying, faith of the free, in thy dear name, the costly heritage we claim, their living and their dying. Faith for the people everywhere, whatever their oppression, of all who make the world more fair, living their faith's confession. Faith of the free, whate'er our plight, thy law, thy liberty, thy light shall be our blessed possession.
Right. Good morning, church. I heard you had a wonderful good morning church last week. So, this morning I will be doing Time for All Ages with my teenager scout here. Hello. We will be reading Supriya's Bowl. Hard times starve people's spirits as well as their bodies. So it was once when the Buddha lived and famine struck the land, the rains failed, and the heat of the sun withered the harvest in the field. All around, the cries of pain and hunger could be heard. In the midst of this misery, some people grew greedy and selfish. The Buddha's followers came to him, bringing stories of sadness and shame.
One merchant in town stabbed another, and all for one bag of grain. I heard somebody who sold their last goat to buy some flour. On the way home, they were attacked by robbers, and the flour was stolen, said another. Saddest of all, Lord Buddha,
Said a third.
are the stories of children dying of hunger on the poor side of town because the wealthy have hoarded all the grain, milk, and sugar.
Call all the people together, said Buddha. Let us see what we can do to help. So the Buddha's followers called a big meeting. Hundreds of people came, rich and poor, well-fed and starving, all out of respect for Buddha. They came to hear his words. The Buddha said, "Citizens of this fair land, surely there is enough food in the storehouses of the wealthy to feed everyone. If the rich share what they have in the lean season, then you will all survive to enjoy the benefits of the next good harvest." The poor and hungry looked hopeful at Buddha's words, but the rich people started to grumble. Granary.
My granary is empty.
Lied one.
The poor are lazy. Let them work for me. Then they can use my money to buy food that I have stored.
Said another.
There are too many poor people.
Said a third.
Let them go somewhere else.
The Buddha sighed. When his eye fell upon the people with hearts of stone, "Is there no one here," he finally asked, "who will take on the job of helping to feed the poor and homeless in these hard times?" There was silence, and then a small voice piped up.
I will, Lord Buddha.
Oh, sorry. Out of the crowd stepped a child, no more than 6 or 7 years old, a merchant's child dressed in fine silk.
My name is Supriya.
Said the child.
I have a bowl to fill with food for the hungry. Where can I begin?
The Buddha smiled. "Small child," he said, "your heart is filled with love, but how will you do this alone?"
Not alone, Lord Buddha, but with your help, I will take this bowl from house to house and ask for food for the poor. I will not be refused. I know it.
Looking at the child with earnest face and shining eyes, even the most selfish among those present grew ashamed. "I have a little grain in my storehouse," mumbled one. "I have some pickled mango from last summer's harvest," said another. "My father was poor once. I am ashamed to have forgotten," muttered a third. Then Supriya took the bowl and went every day from house to house in the rich part of town. Wherever Supriya went, little by little, the bowl got filled. Sometimes an old grandmother would fill it with rice. Sometimes children would give up their sweets for the day. Oftentimes, others would join Supriya with their bowls and help take food to the people who needed it. And sometimes, it is said, when Supriya was tired of walking, the young child would rest in the shade under the trees. Supriya would awake to find the bowl had magically filled itself.
Now,
Said Supriya,
the hungry will eat and the people of the town will take care of each other.
and so they did.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Pearson, and I'm one of several people on the church's membership committee. And today it's my pleasure to initiate an honor for 3 people who have served this church for roughly 50 years or more. I'm being pushed to the microphone. Did everybody hear that? You get the general idea, right? Our first speaker will be Jack Welch.
Good morning. I will be honoring Jim Bassler for his long membership. But before I do, I have 3 questions that I want you to answer by show of hands. How many people remember when Lyndon Johnson was president of the United States? How many remember when gasoline was 30 cents a gallon? How many remember when our church was located on California Street? There's still a few. Okay. Actually, I have a 4th question. How many would like to see gasoline be? How many would like to see gasoline be 30 cents a gallon? Actually, it is my distinct pleasure to talk about Jim Bassler. He not only was a member, he was a very active member, as you will hear. Jim arrived at the church on California Street to attend a meeting of the Channing Group, which is a club for college students. The sponsor of that club was a lovely young lady named Marilyn Swearingen. Well, it wouldn't be much later than Marilyn Swearingen became Marilyn Bassler. And during Jim's and Marilyn's 53 years together, they were both very active in the church. We lost our beloved friend Marilyn 4 years ago. But Jim was served as our many jobs. In fact, he tells me he has every job there is except for RE. He was our president for 2 years. He was our treasurer for a number of years. He's been our board of director for who knows how many years. So Jim has done a lot. But I want to say another committee that Jim was very prominent in was what we called our Buildings and Grounds Committee. He, along with the late Ken Job and Paul Small, were a threesome that rotated each year. A different person would be chair of that threesome. These men worked together. They enjoyed each other's company. And it was one of those situations where I'll say they had more fun than they should have. Jim, along with son Jim and Marilyn, have been stalwarts of our church campout each year at the in the Gila. Jim, Marilyn, and Jimmy would arrive a day early, and they would stake out a claim of area for the rest of us who would arrive the next day. They would put out signs telling all the UUs how to find the campground located in the innermost part of the Gila. Jim was one of the major movers in the early years of our roundtable. Jim, along with Charlie Welch, conducted it for many, many years. It was later taken over by David Steele, and Charlie continued. But those of you who are not familiar with the roundtable, it was a program conducted after the church service, each with community speakers, very popular and very important part of our ministry. When we built the religious education building about 25 years ago, the city required us to put a visual barrier between the church property and our neighbors to the west. Well, in a 1 year, I say again, 1 year project, Jimmy, and with some help from Cliff Pelton, they dug a trench along the entire western wall and then connected that with another trench from our well. Man, folks, this was pick and shovel work that they did for a period of a year, so that when we planted the Afghan pines that we have today, they received the irrigation water that they needed to survive. So in closing, I want to say our church has been blessed to have Jim as an active member for 59 years. He has helped, just a minute please. He has helped our church be what it is today. And for those of us who worked with Jim, there's an added benefit. He always has a positive attitude and a fond sense of humor. Jim has been a great example of loyalty and commitment for all of us. Folks, help me show our appreciation for Jim Bassler.
Okay. How does a young man from Minnesota who was raised as a Lutheran, went to a Presbyterian college, end up in Las Cruces as a Unitarian? Well, you have to be prepared when the opportunities come. And I was prepared in a convoluted way. When I was in college, it was Presbyterian church, and you had to take some religion courses. I was taking a Religions of the World class, and the professor was passing out some test papers, and he said, if you don't believe any of this stuff, you ought to look up Unitarians sometime. Well, I don't remember a whole lot else about that class, but that made it to my permanent memory. And so about 7 years later, I was working here at PSL, and I was wanting to expand my social life from my workers to a little bit outside. So I started looking for churches. I thought that might be a good start. And I looked in the paper under religion, and there was a Unitarian church having a program on, I think it had something to do with psychology. And that thought came back in my mind. Unitarians, what is that? I'm going to find out. So I came to the program, and it was on California Street, and as a fellowship, it was a do-it-yourself, and the members would give speeches, and the last 15 minutes was always a discussion part where you could give support to what the speaker said, or you could totally disagree with them. And of course, that was if you don't like to speak in front of public, that was not something you would want to do, is to lead the service. But the thing I missed most from college was discussion groups. And that's why we started the discussion group also. Charlie and I. Charlie's a very conservative person, and I'm a bleeding liberal. So we were the canaries in the tunnel. If our friendship lasted, we figured we had a balanced program. Anyway, I met my wife, and she was her motto was, "Don't just talk about it, do something about it." And she was in every cause that you could think of. I, on the other hand, was a member of the silent majority. I was interested, but I cheered silently from the background. And so when we got married, she gave me a shove, and we were both all of a sudden involved. I still was I saw myself as the representative of the silent majority, so I sometimes spoke out, but I didn't want to lose my title as silent majority leader. But we got involved in everything, and it was such a pleasure to get involved with all the people, and this church especially. The kind of people are the ones I really like being around. So that's how I got here. I signed that book, and I haven't never regretted it, and I will be here as long as I'm around.
Hello. It is my privilege to introduce a woman who actually needs no introduction, my very good friend Judy Licht. Unfortunately, Judy is unable to be here with us today because of non-COVID health issues. Judy first became aware of the Unitarian Universalist Church when then-husband David, a teacher, was looking for a venue to show a film his students created about the stock market. Someone suggested the UU Fellowship, at that time located on California Street. Judy found the people to be very friendly and welcoming. Excuse me. She didn't know much about Unitarian Universalism, so began attending services and discovered they shared the same principles and values, and joined in 1973. Actually, it's 1974 I see up there. The fellowship was pretty small, and as a group, they enjoyed trips to mountains, the river, and as well pecan orchards. When the congregation purchased and moved into the current location, everyone pitched in to paint and landscape and other stuff that needed to be done. Judy became very active in the church, becoming the chair of the membership committee so she could get to know new members better, a position she held for 10 years. She was also involved with the religious education committee or group and joined the choir when Catherine became the music director 25 years ago. Judy also chaired the gallery committee for 10 years. After Judy and David parted ways, she met Jerry Black at church. Jerry was in the military, stationed in Alamogordo, but would come to Las Cruces to attend church and the roundtable discussion when it actually was small enough to be a round table where they all sat around and discussed things. They were married in 1992. Judy remains very active in church activities, including the gallery committee and the choir. So I'm sorry she can't be here today, but she's been a very good friend and a very good friend of this church. Thank you.
I have the privilege of speaking about Elwin Nutton. Elwin, I'm not sure I can do you justice today, but I'm going to try. Uncle Elwin has been a stalwart member of this church since he joined in the March of 1974. That was almost 50 years ago. I had the privilege of getting to know him in 1981 when my family moved here, and shortly he became my Uncle Elwin. In the 1980s, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Las Cruces started a church grandparent program. My sister and I were paired up with Elwin. We decided he was too young to be a grandfather at the time, so we called him Uncle Elwin. I might add, growing up with Uncle Elwin, he has always kept us supplied with stuffed animals that I still have to this day. We still receive cards for birthdays and Christmas and special times, and that includes his great nieces and nephews. As long as I've known him, he's always been involved with the church. He has served on the ministerial search committees, been social justice committee member, and served as the chair. He has served on bylaw committees, been on the church board, and served as president at least 6 times, I think. I understand he was instrumental in starting the church council to keep the various committees and calendars in communication with one another. Elwin was also my high school RE teacher, religious education teacher, in the late 80s, as well as my sex ed teacher, along with Barbara Bishop. So my peers and I had sex ed from a nun and a bishop. It's true. You might not know that he was also at the church duck. In the mid-1980s, we became the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces as we outgrew the fellowship designation. As Elwin would say, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. I might not have that exactly right, but you get the idea. He dressed up in a duck costume replete with yellow leggings and walked the whole enchilada parade, introducing us as a church. Which reminds me, we used to have a food booth at the whole enchilada fiesta, which Elwin was essential in helping establish, which evolved into our participation with the Renaissance Fair. And if anyone has been around long enough, you know that Elwin was legendary for this. Not only did he help share his expertise with the cooking the goodies, the various flavors of fudge, chocolate chip and almond cookies, and the toffee, but he became quite the taskmaster in the preparation of the Renaissance Fair. From the setting up of the booth to the production line to dressing up like a friar and taking his turn at the booth, or turns, I should say, at the booth. It was his baby and a major fundraiser for our church for many years. Today, he continues this legacy with his renowned truffles. I've noticed that food is a theme with Elwin. He faithfully attended the church campouts and provided the legendary Saturday morning pancake breakfasts that we always looked forward to. He provided many auction meals, including an annual Easter breakfast and tide dinners. Elwin also prepared etiquette lessons and dinners for the youth at the J. Paul Taylor's Detention Center, which, by the way, he also provided sex ed for using the Our Whole Lives curriculum. So they got sex ed by a nun. From a nun, I should say. Elwin is also responsible for keeping the church up to date with technology. He has faithfully videotaped the services since the late 80s or early 90s through the present. I might add, he has also videoed many weddings, memorial services, and special events at our church. He has donated many of the electronic items, such as the screens here, to support our growing technological needs, including the monitors here in the sanctuary. And speaking of donating, Elwin has immeasurably donated his time, talent, and treasure in many more ways than I have time or know about to share. I'm just scratching the surface with all the ways that Elwin has been instrumental to our church. His commitment to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces is exceptional, and he certainly deserves to be acknowledged and celebrated today.
Thank you very much. By the way, I remember paying only 18 cents a gallon for gasoline, but that was in St. Louis. Okay. I have not been a member for 50 years, but I attended the church, which was actually a fellowship, 2 years before that, so I did make my 50. Okay. By the way, I remember, I knew all of the ministers except the very first one. So there've been several of them. That is for sure. What to say? I don't know. It's been a long time. I started out on California Street also. At that time, we had a board, actually it consisted of 4 people, president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And they did everything. There were no committees, nothing like that. There were probably 40 members or something like that at that time, back in '72. So I have seen a lot of growth, a lot of wonderful growth in this congregation. And I look at it now and I say, wow, this is absolutely amazing. I love it. Thank you all.
One of the ways we support each other in our community is through the sharing of joys and sorrows. If you have a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone you'd like to share with us, please raise your hand and I'll bring you the microphone. Tell us your name and what is on your mind.
My name is Janet Martinique, and I have a wondrous joy to share with everybody. We had a member here, what's her name? Mary Whittemore, my mind. She went and moved to New Hampshire, and she was looking for somebody that needed a vehicle. And somebody in this congregation suggested my name, and she contacted me, and she gave me a 2006 Ford Taurus. She gave it to me, and I call it Papillon because it makes me feel like a butterfly, because I had a 1995 Ford pickup, and and I sold it in 2 hours. So everything is wonderful.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Chris.
I didn't think I'd be here today, but it's with deepest regret that I say goodbye to everybody. I am leaving tomorrow for Maryland, and I'm going to live in the same town with my daughter. And I look back at the wonderful things that have happened to me and to John when he was here. And this is the best church ever that I've been a part of. We've been part of Unitarian churches in various places, and this is the absolute best place I could say. So I'm taking off tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, Chris. We'll miss you. Someone else. Yes.
On a more traditional mode of celebration, that a week ago I became a great-grandfather to my great-grandson Isaiah. So.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Yes.
There was a wedding here yesterday, and the participants are not here, understandably. They were partying pretty hard. It was Kevin and Craig, and when you see them next, please offer your congratulations.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a joy with a little bit of a sadness. I received a phone call a couple of weeks ago from our church patriarch, Clayton Flowers, who's almost 108 years old. He told me, please come by. I have checks for you. I want to make my pledge for the year. And as he does every year, he gives us 2 checks, one for the church, and as he says, one for the children, meaning our RE program. So I went over to pick up the checks. It's the first time I had seen Clayton since before the pandemic. He's getting frail, but if he lives another 2 months, he will be 108 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. Someone else, yes.
I have 2 joys related to the same person. My daughter, Celeste, is getting married in Phoenix next Saturday, which is definitely a joy. And then if anybody has seen me rudely sitting on my phone this morning, it's because she is, a week before her wedding, running a Ironman triathlon, and so far is killing her best time by 10 minutes. So double joy today.
Wow. All right. Someone else. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I just want to say I'm happy to be back. I got kind of rolled up in that church COVID that we went through a few weeks ago and recovered from that. And then last week I was traveling up north for the eclipse, but I'm happy to be back in the congregation. And I have a slight sorrow that my friends Bill and Katie Fitzgerald are doing their isolation with COVID they got from a different source than the church here.
Did you see the eclipse?
Oh yeah, we were up in the Ring of Fire.
Did you see Rich's pictures?
I did not.
Okay, Rich took a picture and posted it. It was on Facebook. It's really beautiful. I'm sorry I missed it. I was at a wedding at the time. So
Well, one of
there
our
you are.
neighbors up there had a telescope, so we were able to get some good pictures through the telescope, which are
Oh, fantastic. All right. Anyone else? Yes, Haney.
One of our very longtime members has been living in an assisted living facility for a number of years, Gene Wergler. And as everybody else in this church was catching COVID, Jean caught COVID. And they had her on hospice for a while, but she is improving. She is improving.
I'm going to light this last candle for all the joys and sorrows that were expressed and all the others that remain in your hearts.
Our meditation is taken from It Is That Time and That Place by the Reverend Dr. Kiyama Raman of St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Now is the time to call on the memories of the ancestors who thought they could not walk another step toward freedom, and yet they did. Time to make them proud and show them and ourselves what we are made of. Did you not know that we would have to change places? It is that time and that place to know that it is our turn, that we must leave a legacy for our children and all the children. We are the ones we have been waiting for, and for that we are eternally grateful. I have a reading that is taken from the introduction to Giving the Sacred Art by Lauren Tyler Wright. The practice of giving comes in all forms: offering a smile, picking out a necktie for Dad, reducing debt in a third world country. When practiced consistently and intentionally, giving can become a spiritual discipline and even more, a sacred art. When we practice giving regularly and understand that our motivation has some connection outside of ourselves, we have the opportunity to radically transform our lives, the life of another person, even the lives of entire communities. This sacred opportunity is open to anyone: parents, business executives, retirees, students, clergy. This book is dedicated to exploring the many dimensions of the practice of giving, from the little acts that seem pointless to the big acts that seem impossible. It's about creating an entire lifestyle of generosity. This transformation will help you connect with other people. It will relieve stress from the daily worries of your life. It will open you up to encounters with the sacred. Most important, creating a lifestyle of generosity will allow you to do good in this world. Your giving will have a ripple effect. It will be passed on to other people, other families, other communities, other generations. Your giving will change the world. The transforming power of any spiritual discipline comes with regular practice, but the rewards inherent in the practice can be reaped from the beginning. You don't have to become an expert before it becomes worthwhile. I say this because giving sometimes gets put off as a practice to be taken up later, or when we have more money. or when we are older. But procrastinating only robs you of the chance to experience the joys of giving now. And giving is a timely practice, as many of us are becoming more and more isolated thanks to long commutes in our cars, private entertainment on our MP3 players, or the ability to telecommute from home. Giving offers us a way to enhance relationships and create community.
Thank you, Rich. A friend of mine thanked me the other day for stepping up to help lead this service, and I appreciated that. But on reflection, I thought, you know, that's what we do here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. When we see a need, we try to meet it, whether it's spiritual or social or financial. Some one of us will step up and take the lead to work it out. That's been my experience. It was inspiring today to hear about the time and talent and treasure of these longtime members of our congregation, those folks who have contributed and continue to contribute it for us. But in every UU church I've ever been in, that's been the norm. The first Unitarian Universalist church I joined was the Black Hawk County Fellowship in Cedar Falls, Iowa. That was back in 1981. That church, like this church, was founded in the 1950s by a small group of people who felt that conventional religion was not meeting their needs. And they grew to become a force for liberal thought and action in the community. That time, the 1950s, was an era of great change in our country. The population was growing at a rapid rate, the cities were evolving, and the suburbs were growing. It was a time of great prosperity for most people, and also a time of very divisive politics. And people were seeking, as we say, shelter from the storm. And they founded UU churches like this one to meet their needs. Doesn't that sound familiar? A time of personal prosperity with a very divisive political climate and a hunger for personal relationships and spiritual fulfillment. Isn't that why you're here? That's why I'm here. Let me tell you a story about this congregation. It was founded in 1955 by a group of like-minded people who also felt that conventional religion was not meeting their needs. Consequently, in 2002, we began to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And as part of that celebration, Elwyn Nunn, whom you just honored, and I decided to make a video interviewing some of the founding members. I'm glad we did, because all of them have since passed away. Among those folks were people you might remember, like the Butlers, the Smalls, and Patsy Tombaugh, the wife of Clyde, for whom our gallery is named. It was a thrill for me to talk to those folks and learn about the early days of our church. And you know what I discovered? As I was interviewing them, they were still as enthusiastic and supportive of their church as I imagined they were when they founded it. They expressed the same values and beliefs that we covenant to each Sunday. They were great Unitarians and Universalists. So today, as we recognize and honor the great contributions of time, talent, and treasure of those people who have been with us a long time, let us remind ourselves that if we step up in the coming days and weeks and months and years to provide those things for our church, that will be our legacy, the legacy we leave to future generations. And I suspect they will recognize it and honor us too. May it be so.
Go ahead. Sure. You want
The video?
No, we're not doing it.
Okay. The operation and outreach of our church needs your input and your contributions. This is the perfect time to think about what you can give back. In a moment, the greeters will pass among you with the offering baskets. Please give generously. But before they do that, I should remind you that we support organizations identified by the Social Justice Committee with our Change for Change program. This quarter's recipient for our Change for Change donations is Mesilla Valley Hospice. You can give to them by putting your change in the basket or by writing Change for Change on the note line of your check. Please give generously.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our closing hymn, which is What Gift Can We Bring, number 404 in the Gray Hymnal. What gift can we bring? What present, what token, what words can convey it? The joy of this day, when grateful we come, remembering, rejoicing, what song can we offer in honor and praise? Give thanks for the past, for those who had vision, who planted and watered so dreams could come true. Give thanks for the new, for study, for worship, for mission that bids us turn prayer into deed. This gift we now bring, this present, this token, these words can convey it, the joy of this day. When grateful we come, remembering, rejoicing, this song we now offer in honor and praise.
Randy Granger is a reasonably well-known local musician who has provided music for our services. He is also a longtime volunteer for Mesilla Valley Hospice. In May 2019, a hospice resident sent him a letter thanking him for his time and talent. And yes, Randy has given permission for us to read this. To Randy Granger, my great and gifted musical healer. I heard the call of your sacred music, the melody of a sweet Native American flute, come floating like a fragrance down our hospice halls. I enjoy sweet things, sweet roses, sweet people. The first strains of sound found me in my room that early morning. I wandered into the hall, believing at first it was a Kalas Nakai CD my ears perceived. I wandered toward the sound. There, around the corner of the nurse's station, sat you playing divinely. Inspired by that gift, Spirit gifted you. I chose to sit beside you rather than before you so as not to distract your reverie. After you finished that lovely flute song, you spoke with me. My musical brother, we know as all are known. You are a wonderful angel serving these halls of the living and dying. Like many of us, Randy gives of his time and talent, but often we do not really know if we are truly making a difference. This man told Randy in 860 words how much it meant to him, and frankly, it made the rest of us feel a little better about our volunteerism. Give of your time, talent, and treasure.
Please join me in saying the words that we use to extinguish our flame. We extinguish this flame. Go in peace.
As they said at the.
Sorry, we don't have a postscript.
What was that? One of those movies. Oh, God bless it. And